If we're being honest, you're probably getting this part of your life wrong. You keep trying to fix dating, fix women, fix your confidence by doing more. More talking, more effort, more messages, more chasing. You change your haircut, your clothes, your routine, you watch more content, and still something feels off. You feel like you're doing a lot, but the respect, the attraction, the stability you want just doesn't stay. And there's a reason for that. You see men walk into a room and everyone pays attention without them trying. No flexing, no loud jokes, no trying to impress. They sit down, say almost nothing, and somehow people adjust around them. It looks like charm, or confidence, or some special personality, but it isn't. It's stillness. Real calm. Inner control. Most men never build that, and that's exactly why their dating life and relationships stay messy. Because right now, you probably talk more than you need to. You react faster than you should. You try to prove yourself when you feel slightly challenged. You chase attention with your phone, with your words, with your time. And as long as you live like that, your energy tells everyone around you the same message. You don't feel stable inside. Women feel that very quickly. Life tests that very quickly. So this is what needs to change. You have to stop chasing control on the outside and start building it on the inside. You have to become the man who can stay calm when most people would panic, who can stay grounded when emotions rise, who can hold himself steady when he feels tested. That is stillness. And that is what quietly pulls respect, attraction, and opportunities toward you. Because here's the first hard truth. You cannot fake calm. You can buy a nice watch. You can post photos with rented cars. You can talk about your plans and your goals. You can memorize every clever line about being high value. But when there is real pressure, all of that disappears. When your girl comes to you with something serious, when money is tight, when your family needs you, when someone disrespects you to your face, in those moments your real level of calm shows itself. You either stay present, think clearly, and respond from control, or you lose yourself, raise your voice, send emotional messages, and try to grab control by force. She sees which one it is, and she never forgets. Real calm is not in your watch, your car, or your posture. It sits in your breathing, in your decisions, in the way your body stays loose when someone tries to provoke you. It shows in how you answer when you feel attacked. It shows in how you stand when you feel judged. You cannot borrow that from anyone. You cannot copy it from a video. You have to earn it. Think for a second about the last argument that went wrong. You didn't lose control because the problem was huge. You lost control because your foundation was weak. You raised your voice, not because it was needed, but because you felt powerless. You felt scared of losing her, scared of being wrong, scared of looking weak, so you tried to overpower the moment instead of holding it. Or think about the opportunity you backed away from. You wanted to ask her out and you froze. You wanted to set a boundary and you avoided it. You wanted to leave a disrespectful situation and you stayed. You told yourself you were thinking or waiting for the right moment, but in reality, your doubt was louder than your direction. That's not because life is unfair or because you are cursed. It's because you haven't trained yourself to stay grounded when emotion rises. Until your mind and your body work together, you will keep getting moved by everything outside you. Her moods will move you. Social media will move you. Opinions will move you. Pressure will move you. Temptation will move you. You will keep giving away control piece by piece without noticing. And here's what changes everything. The moment you stop letting the world decide your worth. When you stop chasing her reaction as proof that you matter. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone like your value depends on their approval. When you stop arguing just so you don't feel ignored. When you stop running from discomfort and start seeing it as training. That is when you start becoming a man that life and women react to differently. A man who does not chase, not because he does not care, but because he has already chosen himself and built his standards. A man who does not beg to be understood, because his behavior is clear enough. A man who can handle rejection, distance, and misunderstanding without losing his center. That kind of man is rare, and rarity is attractive. If you haven't built that yet, you are not behind, but you are exposed. Exposed to manipulation, exposed to mixed signals, exposed to women who like you only as long as they can move you, exposed to friends who only respect you if you stay small, exposed to every distraction that promises quick relief and leaves you weaker. So how do you start living from calm instead of pretending you have it? You start earlier than everyone else, literally. You wake up before your messages start coming in, before social media pulls your attention, before anyone needs something from you. You give yourself time where your mind is not being pulled in every direction. You train your body until discomfort stops feeling like a crisis and starts feeling normal. You lift, you run, you stretch, you move. You push yourself just past where you want to stop, so your body learns that I feel like quitting is not the same as I have to quit. You sit with discomfort instead of talking about it all day. You allow yourself to feel anxiety, anger, sadness, and instead of running to your phone or food or distractions, you breathe through it. Not to look tough, but to prove to yourself that you can survive uncomfortable states without panic. Not just what happened, but how you reacted, where you lost control, where you stayed calm, where you lied to yourself. You track your patterns, You start to see that you are not unlucky. You just repeat the same reactions in different situations. You also set boundaries with yourself, not only with other people. You decide what time you sleep. You decide how much you scroll. You decide who you respond to. You decide what kind of disrespect you leave instantly. You decide the standard of behavior you hold yourself to even when no one is watching. That is how you slowly become a man whose presence feels solid, not just to others, but to yourself. Then something simple but powerful happens. Your calm becomes real. You look her in the eyes when she is emotional and you do not flinch. Not to control her, not to compete, but to show that you can handle her feelings without collapsing. You do not match her volume. You do not mirror her chaos. You let her see that her emotions will not break you, and that you will not attack her for having them. Women pay close attention to that. They may like your looks, your jokes, your success, but the part of them that decides if you are a long-term man or just an experience, that part is watching how you behave when you're under pressure. That part is watching whether you crumble or stay composed. And this leads into another core shift. You need to talk less and carry more weight inside you. We live in a time where everyone is loud. Constant posting, constant stories, constant opinions, constant explanations. A lot of noise, very little depth. So when a man enters a room and stays quiet, but clearly grounded, people feel it. They can't always explain it, but they notice the difference. He doesn't scan the room for approval. He isn't looking around to see who is watching him. He isn't trying to entertain everyone. He is just present, aware, and comfortable in his own body. That alone separates him from most men. You have probably felt this before. A guy walks past you. He is not necessarily huge, not necessarily famous, not dripping with luxury, but there is a seriousness in his focus. There is structure in the way he moves. There is no performance. You know instantly that he is not fragile inside. That doesn't come from luck. It comes from years of work that no one saw. He built his body. He built his skills. He cleaned up his habits. He faced his insecurities. He stopped needing to be liked by everyone. Over time, his energy stopped asking for permission and started setting the tone. People started listening when he spoke, not because he yelled, but because they could feel that his words matched his actions. If you want to become that kind of man, you have to stop filling silence just to feel safe. You stop talking to avoid feeling insecure. You stop oversharing personal details with people who did not earn that level of access. You stop telling every story to make yourself look important. You stop using conversation like a constant advertisement for your value. Instead, you start respecting your own words. You say less, but when you speak, you are honest. You mean what you say, and you follow through on it. You do not promise what you know you will not do. You do not talk about standards you do not live. You do not use big statements to hide weak behavior. You also clean up how you speak. You cut out gossip. You stop talking badly about people behind their back. You stop lying, even in small ways, because every lie makes you weaker inside. You stop explaining yourself when someone tries to pull you into endless debates about your choices. You let your behavior speak. You allow people to misunderstand you rather than begging them to see you the right way. You hold eye contact, not in an aggressive way, but in a steady way. You let people feel that you are fully there, not halfway in your head and halfway in your phone. You are not trying to intimidate anyone. You just refuse to shrink for comfort. This is where women separate words from reality. Most women are not waiting for another speech. They are not looking for a man with the perfect line. They are looking for a man who does not shake every time she tests him. A man who can stay calm when she is upset. A man whose silence is not empty, but full of certainty. When she feels that, she remembers you. She may not say it directly, but it changes how she sees you. Now understand something important about women and composure. She does not commit to you because you have ambition on paper. She does not stay just because you have a nice face or a certain income. Those things might draw her attention at first, but they do not secure her trust. What reaches deeper than simple attraction is how you behave when there is emotional pressure. When she is stressed, does your energy increase the tension or reduce it? When you disagree, do you become reactive, defensive, and emotional, or do you stay grounded and clear? When she brings you conflict, do you try to win, or do you focus on direction? Women with emotional depth will test this, not always with some planned method, often just through normal human behavior. She will question something. She will show resistance. She will pull back a little. She will speak with emotion. She will watch how you respond. If you panic, chase, beg, and defend yourself, nonstop, all you do is show her that your strength only works when everything is comfortable. Your control is not rooted. It depends on her behavior, which means she is leading you without wanting to. But when you stay composed, everything changes. You listen when she talks instead of interrupting. You hold your tone steady. You speak slowly instead of rushing. You ask clear questions instead of throwing blame. You do not make decisions in the middle of emotional spikes. You know that your job is not to fix her feelings in 1 second, but to stay stable enough so she can calm down around you. That is when she starts to relax in your presence. That is when she starts to respect you on a different level, even when she is annoyed. Of course, this is where many men get confused about control and reaction. They think that being strong means responding to every slight. answering every text instantly, getting into every argument, proving a point every time someone disagrees. They treat every small situation like a challenge to their manhood. That is not strength. That is insecurity. Every time you react without thinking, you hand over control. The late-night text that you answer even though you know it leads nowhere. The argument you jump into online. The disrespect you respond to with a paragraph instead of distance. The jealousy that makes you check her phone, her followers, her comments. All of that is you telling the world that your emotions are easy to control if someone just presses the right button. Real control is the opposite. Sometimes it is not answering. Sometimes it is letting someone talk and removing yourself later. Sometimes it is keeping your schedule and not breaking it for chaos. Sometimes it is walking away from a dynamic that keeps pulling you into disrespect without long explanations. Your attention is limited. Where you put it literally builds your future. When you react to everything, you leave no energy to build anything. So you start asking a simple question before you respond. Does this serve the man I'm trying to become? If the answer is no, you don't engage. You don't try to fix everyone's perception. You don't argue for days. You don't chase validation. You stay with your mission, your work, your training, your standards. That is not weakness. That is discipline. Weakness is needing to answer everything. Strength is being able to stay silent when silence protects your direction. Strength is not shown by how loud you can get in an argument, but by how little you need to rely on arguments at all. This is why emotional control is the core of real leadership. At some point, every man looks around and sees a pattern. Relationship issues, work pressure, financial stress, family conflict, thoughts that do not stop at night. And he understands something simple. The world is not going to slow down to make it easier for him. Life will keep moving. Emotions will keep rising. Problems will keep showing up. He either becomes stronger than the pressure, or he gets crushed by it. Leadership is not about making speeches or being the loudest guy in the group. Leadership is about what you do with your own emotions when everything feels heavy. It is about what you do when your girl is emotional and you feel your own anger rising. It is about what you do when your plan fails. It is about what you do when people disappoint you. Do you match chaos with chaos, or do you center yourself and then act? When business fails, do you complain and blame the world, or do you adapt and change course? When someone betrays your trust, do you obsess over revenge, or do you quietly change your circle and raise your standards? When your partner is upset, do you explode, or do you listen and respond from clarity? Emotional control does not mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting feelings control your actions. You learn when to speak and when it is smarter to stay quiet. You learn when to walk away and when to stand firm. You learn that not every emotion requires a response. You learn that you can feel anger, disappointment, and fear without acting out of them. To build this, you have to go to the parts of yourself you usually hide. The anger you refuse to admit. The insecurity that shows up as arrogance. The fear of abandonment that shows as jealousy. The need for control that shows as manipulation. You sit with these parts. You write about them. You admit them. You stop blaming everyone else for them. You start tracking your reactions. When you raise your voice. When you chase after being ignored. When you say yes, even though you want to say no. When you let attraction override your standards. You catch yourself in the act, and you ask why you keep doing it. Then you put structure in your life. You master your mornings instead of waking up into a storm. You have non-negotiable habits that ground you. Training, reading, planning, reflection. You slow down your speech so your words can catch up to your mind. You practice breathing deeply when triggered instead of letting your body run your mouth. Over time, the old version of you starts to fade. The version that needed approval. The version that chased every sign of attention. The version that folded under pressure. Slowly, you replace him with a man who lives by principle, not mood. People around you feel that before you even talk about it. Your woman stops looking at you as another guy to manage and starts feeling you as a stable presence. Your friends either rise to match your standards or distance themselves because they no longer fit. Your future children will one day watch how you move under stress and learn from it more than from anything you say. Because calm is not just a nice quality. It is a filter. When you are calm, you start to see what belongs in your life and what does not. You realize that many arguments are pointless. Many friends are just people who enjoy drama. Many situations that used to shake you are simply tests. Life does not reward your potential. It responds to your discipline. You stop looking for peace in women, in distractions, or in random environments. You start building it inside your daily choices. You stay in hard conversations without raising your voice. You say no clearly when something disrespects you, even if it upsets someone. You walk out of environments that constantly pull you into disrespect, not to punish anyone, but to protect your own stability. That is when chaos loses its grip on you. You become a man who no longer needs to be understood by everyone. You care more about understanding yourself. You care more about protecting your peace than about looking impressive. You show the world, through your behavior, that disrespect and games do not have access to you. Women watch this closely. When she sees you stop tolerating emotional games, when she sees you calmly step back from disrespect, when she sees you choose stability over drama, her view of you changes. Attraction grows because she now associates you with safety and clarity, not with emotional confusion. And this is where stillness becomes the foundation of long-term attraction, not just short-term chemistry. Any man can impress in the first few weeks. You can dress well, plan good dates, say charming things, act confident when everything is easy. That is simple. But what really stays with a woman long-term is something else. She pays attention to whether you stay rooted in who you are over months and years. Do you keep your standards under stress? Do you stay disciplined when life gets heavier? Do you still treat her with respect when you are frustrated? Do you keep speaking with clarity instead of using manipulation? Are you more grounded after a hard year or more unstable? Long-term attraction is built when you remain the same man at your core, but wiser and more stable with time. You do not peak early and then slowly fall into chaos. You grow, you become more patient, more direct, more consistent. You remain steady when you are tired. You remain fair when you are hurt. You remain truthful when lying would be easier. You remain calm when your ego wants to explode. That is what creates deep trust. She does not need to be impressed by constant, big gestures. She needs to feel safe in your stability. She needs to know you will not switch into a different person every time you feel triggered. She needs to see that you can hold space for her emotions, for your own stress, and for the relationship vision at the same time. That does not mean you never get angry or sad. It means you do not let those states destroy what you're building. You do not threaten to leave every time you argue. You do not use her insecurities against her. You do not punish her with silence. You do not run to other women for validation. You hold your standard. You lead with calm, without controlling, without ego. The quiet moments are where you prove who you are. When she is distant and you choose patience instead of chasing. When she misunderstands you and you choose clear explanation once instead of desperate convincing. When she tests your boundaries and you calmly repeat them instead of giving in. These small choices shape how she feels about you over time. She stops testing as much because she sees that your strength is real. She stops doubting as much because your behavior is consistent. She stops resisting as much because she feels safe, letting her guard down. She respects you not because you demanded it loudly, but because you showed it quietly in 100 situations. This is the difference between the man she dates for a short period and the man she plans a life with. The short-term guy depends on excitement. The long-term man depends on self-control. The short-term guy peaks with charm. The long-term man builds with stability. You become that man by changing how you live today, not by waiting for some future moment. You start acting in alignment with the values you claim, especially when no one is watching. You walk away from conversations and environments that keep pulling you away from your standards. You train your body and mind so often that discipline becomes normal, not special. You write down clearly what kind of man you want to be remembered as, and you let that guide your decisions more than your impulses. You act as if your future self is watching you right now and judging whether you are helping him or hurting him. And you understand one more thing. The world is not designed to build this in you. Most systems around you push you to react, to chase, to seek approval, to soften your standards, to doubt yourself, to stay distracted. You are encouraged to entertain, to perform, to talk constantly, to avoid silence. All of this keeps you from developing depth. If you keep moving like that, the pattern is simple. Years pass, relationship repeat, respect declines. You feel more confused, more drained, more resentful. You blame women, you blame money, you blame the world. But the real problem stays untouched. You never built stillness. You do not need more tricks. You do not need more lines. You do not need to become someone else. You need to become more honest with yourself, more disciplined with your habits, more focused on your mission, more consistent in your standards, more calm in your reactions. When you do that, you stop chasing attraction and start holding it. You stop begging for respect and start receiving it naturally. You stop feeling lost and start moving with quiet direction. That is the shift. So if you are tired of watching women lose interest, tired of repeating the same fights, tired of feeling out of control, no matter how hard you work, take this as a line in the sand. Decide that from now on you will train your calm as hard as other men train their image. Wake up earlier, move your body, write your thoughts, study your reactions, set standards. Enforce them. Enforce them. Speak less. Mean more. Let your presence do more work than your words. Stay grounded when you are tested. Walk away from what disrespects your peace. Lead yourself before you try to lead anyone else. Stillness is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And the man who builds it becomes the man who no longer has to chase. He attracts. He directs. He holds his frame in dating, in relationships, in life. And that is exactly the man you are capable of becoming if you stop running from the work and start living like your future depends on your composure. Because it does.